Triple Shot Mindset.
Do you think mental blockages have anything to do with our trajectory in life?
Absolutely.
Tell me more.
Well, everyone has a trajectory at all times. There are always going to be consequences of your current actions. And how blocked or unblocked your mind is determines how far you'll go, I think.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Do you recognize your own mental blockages?
It's hit or miss.
Or has it become part of your wiring?
Well, that's an excellent question. Sometimes I see them and then I work to correct them. And other times people have to bring them to my attention because I'm like clueless Cassie.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't know anyone named Cassie. Just clueless Cassie just sounded good.
Great. About 15 years ago, we had a friend, and he was extremely, extremely driven to build a multi-million-dollar nutritional supplement company.
Nice.
Okay. And the day he was celebrating his first Lamborghini purchase and his first $1 million, we walked into his brother's office, and his brother said that he had just heard from his doctor that he has cancer. And for me, that was a little bit of a wake-up call in a way. You say, wait a minute, if someone's going after money, then it must mean that they're neglecting their health or their family. So that became some sort of a, I guess, mental block on my end.
What do you mean?
Well, you know how they say money is the root of all evil? I kind of took that and I embodied that. That you can't have happiness and health and family if you chase money. And you can't have money if you just stick with your family and the little things in life.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Do you think that moment created the belief from scratch or just reinforced a seed?
Well,
that
there was
already
another incident. Our uncle, multimillionaire in Kentucky, and he was also driven to create businesses, and he died at an early age.
Got it. And was that before or after this incident?
Before.
So it was kind of already percolating.
So when you look at these things and your mind puts two and two together, and society says that money is the root of all evil, and then you think to yourself, maybe I should block myself from succeeding, from growing financially, because the end game could be you're going to either die early or someone that you love is going to die and you're going to miss out on time being with them.
Do you think you were looking for proof of that belief?
Yeah.
So
Everyone
these
does.
events just,
Yeah,
it's
you
like,
just
yep, there's the
have
proof.
to validate
There's
that.
the proof. Whoa.
I think from an early age we heard that, you know, because people who don't have money, they say money is evil. But I think just money just pushes you to be more of who you are.
Yeah.
So if you're a kind person, giving person, then money will make you be a more giving, more kind person.
Yeah.
But if you think that it's going to create more chaos in your life, it will, because you're a chaotic person. So I think a lot of people go through life and they need different stories to validate their belief systems.
Absolutely.
And if we take those on and create that false narrative that, yep, see, I told everyone money's evil and these are the examples. But we fail to see the other examples of the other side of the coin, because our mind is trying to validate our stupid belief systems.
There's a name for that. It's escaping me. I think it's called confirmation bias, where you just seek to confirm what you already believe.
Yeah.
You'll look at the circumstances and go, yeah, love never works for me.
Yeah.
Women are shit. Men are shit. Life is shit. I'm just spitballing here.
No, you're right. You're right. In a divorce situation, people who are in a bad, nasty divorce, they look at the examples of what could go wrong and what has gone wrong, and they use those to validate why they're in a shitty divorce situation. But I chose to look at the few who had a good situation and mirror theirs. I remember we were sitting at dinner with, who was that guy, the billionaire I had dinner with?
Ooh.
Glen Stearns.
Yeah.
And this was when I was going through a divorce initially in the first 3 months. And Nona and I, we went and had dinner with them. And Glen Stearns said that his ex-wife is good friends with him, is good friends with his new wife. She actually works at his companies, and she has a high-paying, high-level job. And I took that as an example of what a good divorce should look like. Versus, let's say, my parents who hate each other, who say it's horrible, you can't be friends with your ex. So instead of taking their lead and making my life miserable, I decided to choose to look at Glen Stearns and his previous wife and how they've managed to create that life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did you choose to do that? Because, excuse me, it seems like you were choosing to break a pattern, but that was your choice. In other words, where did that come from? You were just tired of the bitter victim mentality, or you didn't want any more negativity in your life, or what was creating that?
I saw myself laying on my mom's couch the day after my divorce. I saw myself from a third-party perspective, and it was like a shrimp, just all curled in like a fetus position. And I was just feeling sorry for myself. And I was thinking to myself, I'm a failure at this, I'm a failure at that. And at that moment, Dr. Oz was on TV, and Tony Robbins was his guest. And he was talking about everything happens for you, not to you. And that one sentence awakened me, and I decided to look at life differently, 180 degrees. So if I thought something was bad for me, I thought, well, must have been a reason for this. It must be good for my growth. And so I chose everything after that. I chose my feelings, my reactions, so that it can better me and move me away from where I saw myself going, which was a dark place.
So you chose to change your trajectory.
You have to choose.
How do you get people to do that?
I think you have to have such a huge trauma in your life, or such a big jolt in your life, that it makes you understand that you have a choice. Most people don't think they have a choice. Oh, everything's happening to me. I got cancer, I got this, I got that, I got laid off, I got broken up with. And they never take responsibility for anything. And I think once you start taking responsibility for things that are within your choosing, you can choose your destination too.
Yep. Wow. So ownership and responsibility. What do you make of it?
He's a smart man. Very smart man. I get calls all the time. Your brother's very smart. But let me give you a story about a client of ours. And this will validate your point later on. But she's in business, and she got herself a coach. Obviously, the coaches we know empower you to find the strength in you and nourish it so that you can become a better person. I find that most people, maybe not most, but a significant number of people, they rely on psychologists, coaches, you name it. Somebody that will make decisions for them. So had my brother listened to like the typical, psychologist, no hate, by the way, I don't think he would have had the epiphany that he had by himself, because he was doing what his soul wanted to do, his soul's calling. It wasn't he had to answer to the therapist saying, hey, did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? Okay, good. Now the next step is do this. Write down this 10 times on the blackboard. He took it upon himself to overcome his blockage of this is how a divorce should be, and this is my path. Say, no, fuck that. I'm going this way, and I'm doing it because that's my soul's calling. So people that rely on outside talking heads to guide their life, it's good to take advice. It's good to hear a perspective other than your own. But I think ultimately you should not rely on those people who are not living in your skin. You don't rely on those people to make those big decisions for you and tell you how to behave. I think that goes, you have to take ownership of that and do what's best for you. And the time will come for you to overcome those blockages. Take the advice, but don't force yourself into something that is not you.
What did the client do?
The client, it's been 1.5 years now that she hasn't opened up her practice yet. And she constantly tells her, oh, your business card is wrong. Your letterhead is wrong. This is wrong. That's right. You got to wait. And now she's like 1.5 years paying rent, 1.5 years of losing on patients, all because some third person that probably wants to pat her own pockets, frankly, at this point, tells her what to do. And I told her the other night on the phone, I said, beep, stop listening to this person. What do you want to do? She said, if it was up to me, I would have opened up shop 1 year ago. I said, see, you're kind of making her the authority in your life of how you should live your life. Let go of that and just do what feels right. The universe tells you, if you feel it inside of you that you need to do this, the universe is talking to you. Instead of saying, well, but my coach disagrees with that. You know what? Coaches are great, but they're not always right. So I told her just, do what feels right and just do it.
The problem is a lot of people don't know what's right. That's why they go find coaches, consultants, psychologists. They don't know what's right. And if everyone knew what was right, what was in their heart, they would do it. But the problem is they don't. They don't have the awareness to understand what their thoughts are doing for them, what their blockages are. They even listen to their parents as to what they should be when they grow up, right? So that would be the first time they take advice from someone that may be against their true will. So if you have that mentality that my parents wanted me to be a doctor, dentist, or lawyer, now I'm a dentist, doctor, lawyer, and I'm unhappy, I'm going to throw myself off the bridge because I feel unfulfilled. It's not necessarily the job of the coach, consultant, or psychologist to push you to do something. They just accentuate certain things that, in their opinion, is important for you to keep in mind. But ultimately, you have to be the person responsible for steering your own ship. But unfortunately, most people, they don't know that. They think definition of life has been dictated from the time they were born from society, that you have to go to school, get good grades, marry, live in a house with 2.5 kids, have a retirement, and then die. And they think that divorce is bad. They think that certain things should be a certain way. But if in case you have that big aha moment that not a lot of people do, that's your turn, that's your chance to change things about yourself. And yes, it has to come from within. No one can tell you to do that. But you have to have the awareness to understand that every decision you make will impact your trajectory. Every decision. Like from the time you wake up and have a donut versus a bagel versus a smoothie, that's your first decision of the day. Your decision is also do I wake up happy? Do I wake up crappy? Do I wake up sad and depressed? That's all your choice. But people don't want to do their work. People don't want to take responsibility for their own actions, for their own thought patterns. They don't want to break those thought patterns. As a matter of fact, they want to find people that validate those thought patterns.
Yep.
As long as we have that, psychologists will be in business for a long, long time. Coaches will be in business for a long, long time, because not a lot of people who go to a psychologist, believe it or not, come out healed. Not a lot of people who go through coaching will come out better at the end. They're going to do better during that time, but as soon as they leave that program, they go back to their own patterns again.
Yeah, I noticed something really crazy when I was getting into experimenting with ChatGPT to see what that bad boy / girl could do. I realized it could give fabulous advice and great direction on breaking my own mental blocks. So I'd say, for example, hey, ChatGPT, I'm struggling with my approach to abundance and financial success. Here's what I believe. Here's what I've always believed. Here's some of my traumas. What do you make of it all? And I would have these sessions with ChatGPT where an hour later after this heated dialogue, I'd walk away like my eyes glowing. I just had a download. I've released some old shit, worked through some trauma. So I started telling people about it. I was like, guys, my friends, get ChatGPT, start talking to it, explain your stuff. It's only $20 a month right now, and you might have a breakthrough. And I couldn't believe the number of people and friends who were just like,
not for me.
Not for me. And I don't really have any, like, I'm fine. I'm good. Now, like you, and I think like all of us, we look at the people we love and we see their blind spots and we're like, oh man, if we could just get Amanda to realize this one thing, like all of our lives would be a lot easier. Yeah. We all do that. But when you see the people that you love, just kind of be like, I'm good. It brought me to the same realization that you're saying, which is people don't necessarily want breakthroughs. They don't necessarily want to release mental blocks, and they don't necessarily want change. And I understand why, because life hasn't been set up to give us the opportunity to build self-trust. So people don't even know that they're capable of it. It sounds very scary. It sounds very fucked up. They're like, no. I'll just stay in my safe little corner and I'll be okay.
Yeah.
But some of us don't want to be in the corner. Some of us want to be jumping off cliffs and seeing if our little makeshift wings are going to carry us or if we're going to go splat. And I guess that just indicates that there are different types of people in this world. Who will we choose to surround ourselves with?
Yeah. I think ego and fear, those are two things that I was trying to think about 20 minutes ago. Ego and fear are the two things that will keep you on the same trajectory you're on. And it's not going to make you change. So when I talk to people, friends, family about how to change their trajectory and I point out their blind spots, I say, hey, Dad, have you noticed that you always do this? And for a moment he says, oh, you're such a great advisor. You're such a great guru. But he still does it again. Yeah.
He shuts you up with some praise and then goes about his business.
And I realized it's his fear of changing. It's his ego that doesn't let him do anything different. And if a lot of people had one day to live or 1 month to live, and you told them you only have a few more days, a few more weeks to live, would they change at that point? And I've heard people at their deathbeds, I've read about people on their deathbeds, that they would say, I would do everything different. But why wait till 1 week left, 1 month left? Put ego aside, put fear aside, and look at yourself from a very, brave standpoint and see where you are and how you have to change. Because I could have gone down the route of I'm a divorced dad, I'm miserable, bleep my ex-wife, what if one day she's going to run away with them to Iran? I could have gone from that perspective because a few people in family and friends, that was their experience. Mm-hmm. So I could have taken that on. I could take on the experience of someone who is happy with her ex-wife, who has a great co-parenting relationship. So I chose that one. Yeah, of course, society pushes you to the one that's more dramatic. And I chose not to go down that route. It's a choice, again. Everything is a choice. Every thought that goes through my head, whether I choose to give it wings or dismiss it, is my choice. Before I used to sit down, stare at the window and let negative thoughts just steer me down the wrong road and come up with some kind of a reaction. I would even sweat from anger or from fear just because my imagination was taking me down the wrong road. But now, as soon as I see my imagination starting to go in a wrong direction that I don't want it to go, I stop it.
Yeah.
I stop it. I interrupt my patterns. I get up. I start walking outside. And I think more people have to have that.
Yeah. I saw Gary Vee losing his shit on Instagram last night. Did you see it?
No.
I'll send it to you. It's this reel where it's a Q&A and he's talking about discipline. And talk about sweating. He's sweating and cursing in this video like I've never seen. And he's chewing the world out for not having discipline. He's like, you don't have fucking discipline.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you're saying actually is mental discipline.
Yeah.
It's the ability to say, every thought is a seed. What am I going to plant? What am I going to water?
Yeah. Perfectly said.
Thanks.
Perfectly said. Yeah. We don't get that often from you.
I know.
The other thing I've noticed, one last point, is that if you want to create an outcome, you have to have a clear vision of what that outcome is. If I want a better life, let's say with my kids, with my partner, with whatever, I have to know exactly what that looks like so I can go there. And I think a coach would kind of push you to that, make you see the outcome and then work your way to that. But when people, for example, say, I want money, I wish I had $200 million. And I ask them for what? Oh, just to be happy, just to have more houses, more cars. I don't think the universe will really listen to you in that sense. That's not the way to set goals. But one time when I told the universe, and this was subconsciously, I said, if I had $10,000 today, I'd buy 3 iMacs for my office, and that would be the best iMacs. And literally the next day, John Nowicki, a chiropractor, he called and he said, I'm going to give you $10,000 for a website, no strings attached, just give me the website and I'll leave. And I thought to myself, wow, if you have a plan for that money and you're specific with it, then you can set into motion certain things in the universe to make that come true. And now that's counting on perhaps luck or your vibrational frequencies. But in a day-to-day operations, the way you create the destiny you want is by getting rid of all the negative stuff, getting rid of all the fears and ego-related things, and just go with what you envision and what you have to do to get there. And it's hard work. I mean, I think it's the most exhausting thing I have to do every day. Beyond belief, beyond taking care of 2 boys. It's the most exhausting thing I go through every day, to have to choose every moment and every thought based on the reality I want to create. It's the most exhausting thing. It's the most self-aware kind of a thing people have to do.
Yeah.
But every day, I choose my thoughts, I choose my emotions, I choose my reactions. And if you have control over that much of your brain, then you have so much more control over your destiny.
Triple Shot Mindset.